Magomed Ankalaev is back in the win column, but somehow the guy managed to score a knockout and still make the main event feel slow. Valter Walker didn't collect another foot this time. He basically took an entire calf home instead. And Steve Erceg, the Michael Scott of MMA, got knocked out by an undersized brawler who's already calling for a title shot against another dangerous flyweight, Joshua Van. Plus, we'll talk about the most exciting Russian striker to show up in a long time. Let's break down all the biggest moments from UFC Fight Night, Ankalaev versus Guskov.
Welcome to MMA TV, built for true MMA fans.
What's up, everyone? This is Zach from MMA TV, your home for UFC news, fight breakdowns, and everything happening in the world of MMA. Before we get started, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss any future UFC coverage now. Did you guys finally recover from that main event? Before anything else, I'm going to remind everyone about something. In my prediction video, I said Guskov's best chance to win was by testing Ankalaev on the ground. As for the fight itself, it pretty much played out the way most people expected. A slow pace, Ankalaev staying in complete control, doing just enough to keep Guskov from building any momentum, but never really giving the fans a reason to get out of their seats. He won most of the striking exchanges. He controlled the grappling whenever it hit the mat, and little by little, you could see Guskov's gas tank disappearing. By the later rounds, he simply didn't have much left. Eventually, Ankalaev finished the fight with ground and pound after Guskov could no longer intelligently defend himself. Another win, another statement, and another step toward getting his title back. But here's the question. Was it enough to convince everyone he's ready for another championship opportunity? Honestly, I think Ankalaev's biggest strength is also what keeps him from becoming a fan favorite. His patience, his composure, his ability to stay completely calm inside the cage. He almost never takes unnecessary risks. He's incredibly disciplined, and from a coaching standpoint, that's exactly what you want to see. But from an entertainment standpoint, it can be frustrating. Now, this is just my opinion, but sometimes it feels like Ankalaev is more interested in making sure he doesn't lose than he is in finishing the fight. I'm not saying he should fight recklessly. That's not what I mean. What I am saying is that there were several moments where he had opportunities to increase the pace, to put more pressure on Guskov, to really chase the finish earlier. And he just didn't. From the opening bell until the stoppage, everything happened at the same measured pace. Just enough offense to stay ahead. Just enough pressure to stay in control. Just enough damage to win. And honestly, I caught myself getting sleepy watching parts of that fight. Did anyone else feel the same way? Or am I being too harsh on Ankalaev? Because there's no denying he's incredibly effective. But exciting? That's a completely different conversation. Thankfully, not everyone on this card was interested in fighting at half speed. One guy who definitely hit the fast-forward button was Valter Walker. Coming into this event, Walker had already won 4 straight fights, all by heel hook, the exact same submission. This time, he was matched up against Thomas the Train Peterson, a wrestler who looked like he had prepared specifically to avoid becoming Walker's next victim. To his credit, he actually defended the heel hook. For a moment, it looked like he had escaped, but the second he tried to get back to his feet, Walker caught him in another submission. Only this time, instead of taking home another foot, he practically took the guy's entire calf. It was another ridiculously quick finish, another performance of the night bonus, and another reminder that if Valter Walker gets a hold of one of your legs, you're probably not making it out of there. Honestly, he's becoming one of the most unique submission specialists in the UFC today. And the scary part is, everyone knows exactly what he wants to do, and they still can't stop it. And honestly, Valter Walker isn't just winning fights anymore, he's building a brand. The guy knows exactly how to entertain both inside and outside the cage. He speaks multiple languages. He's comfortable in front of the camera. And after submitting Thomas Peterson in just 1 minute and 32 seconds of the first round, he somehow managed to steal the spotlight again. When he was asked who he wanted to fight next, did he call out another heavyweight? No. Did he call out someone in the rankings? Not even close. He called out referee Herb Dean. Yeah, Herb Dean. It was obviously a joke, referencing everything that happened during the Alex Pereira versus Cyril Gane fight at the White House event. I definitely wasn't expecting that. Between his personality and the way he's finishing fights, Valter Walker is becoming one of the easiest fighters to root for. so don't be surprised if I make an entire video about him later this week, because I honestly think this guy deserves a lot more attention. Now, while we're talking about fighters who impressed, there's another name you should remember: Magomed Zaynukov, also known as Wild Chanko, or, as some fans have jokingly started calling him, John Pork, even though he clearly isn't a fan of that nickname. One thing is certain: this guy completely destroys the stereotype that every Russian fighter is just another wrestler, because his striking is violent. From the opening bell, he put Damian Rzepecki under constant pressure. Punches, kicks, combinations, everything was landing clean. To be honest, some of the exchanges were so brutal that I probably couldn't even show all the footage here without risking copyright issues or getting the video restricted. By the end of the fight, Rzepecki looked like he'd been through a car accident. That's how much damage Zaynukov was able to inflict. And what impressed me the most wasn't just the power, it was the creativity. He throws with bad intentions, but he also mixes up his attacks really well. He's constantly giving his opponents different looks. If you enjoy high-level striking, do yourself a favor: don't skip this guy's fights. Seriously, I think Magomed Zaynukov has everything it takes to become one of the most entertaining prospects to watch over the next few years. Now, before we run through the rest of the results, there's one more performance we have to talk about: Ramazan Temirov. This guy wasted absolutely no time. He knocked out Steve Erceg, the Michael Scott of MMA, in the very first round, and he did it in style. He opened the fight with a spinning body kick that immediately got everyone's attention. Then he marched forward, throwing bombs. Temirov isn't the cleanest technical striker you'll ever see. He's not the kind of guy who's going to put on a kickboxing clinic. Instead, he fights like someone who genuinely enjoys chaos. He throws every punch like he's trying to knock a hole through the wall behind his opponent. It almost feels like watching a bar fight, except one of the guys happens to be ridiculously athletic. And honestly, that's part of what makes him so fun to watch. He earned a Performance of the Night bonus for a reason. The guy came to finish, but then he grabbed the microphone, and that's where things got a little ahead of schedule. Because after scoring one of the biggest wins of his career, he immediately called for Joshua Van. Come on, let's slow down a little. I love the confidence. But Joshua Van is fighting at a completely different level right now. Temirov has looked impressive, no question about that, but he's only 3 fights into his UFC career. Personally, I'd like to see him win at least 2 more fights against top competition before we even start talking about a title shot. The talent is definitely there, the power is real, and he's absolutely someone worth keeping an eye on. But there's no need to rush him. Sometimes prospects develop better when you let them climb the ladder naturally instead of throwing them straight into the fire. And before I forget, the fight that still has to happen is Joshua Van versus Alexandre Pantoja. Unfortunately, Pantoja suffered an injury early in the fight, and we were robbed of what could have been one of the best matchups scheduled for UFC 323. Hopefully, we get to see that fight again soon, because I honestly think it has all the ingredients to be an absolute war. Now let's quickly run through the rest of the results from the card. There were some solid performances from top to bottom, but for me, these were the biggest stories of the night. Ankalaev got himself back in the win column. Valter Walker proved once again that if you leave a leg anywhere near him, you're probably going home with a brace. Magomed Zaynukov announced himself as one of the most exciting striking prospects coming out of Russia. And Ramazan Temirov reminded everyone that you don't need to be the biggest guy in the division to hit like a truck. Overall, I thought this card had some really fun moments. It wasn't perfect. The main event definitely wasn't the kind of fight fans will be replaying years from now, but the undercard more than made up for it. There were finishes, there were breakout performances, and there were several names that deserve a lot more attention after this weekend. Now I want to hear from you. Was there another fight on the card that deserved a shout out? Did I miss one of your favorite performances? Let me know down in the comments. And here's another question. Why do you think Ankalaev struggles to connect with so many fans? Is it just his fighting style? Is it his pace? Or do you think he simply doesn't get enough credit for how technically good he actually is? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. We've got a lot of great UFC content coming this week, including a full video on Valter Walker, because after this performance, I think he deserves the spotlight. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.